I was 13 when this happened. I was always a smart kid, even when I was a teenager. My parents were both renowned Asian business tycoons, and I was raised to be aware of everything and incredibly decisive. For my middle school, my parents told me that it would be better if I moved to the US. I was okay with it. My cousins lived there, and I went to LA every now and then, so I wasn't anxious about it. A few months later, I moved to the US, and I was adjusting pretty well, except for the food, of course. My school life was also going great. One day, one of my friends asked me if I would like to go to the movies with the group. I was okay with it. They told me to meet them at 5 in the nearby mall. I asked my cousin to drive me to the mall there since I obviously couldn't drive. I asked my aunt if I could go to the movies. She agreed and asked my cousin to drive carefully. Then she gave me money for gas, food, and the movie. I decided to go out a little earlier, so I asked my cousin to drive the car, and we stopped at the gas station near the mall. I got out of the car, and my cousin told me that he was going to buy a few things from the store. I started filling up the tank. As I was doing that, I saw an elderly woman eyeing me. She was just from behind our car. For some reason, I felt like she had that holier-than-thou look. However, I didn't know her, so I didn't have to engage with her. My cousin came back and moved the car. Then he quickly ran back to the store. I assumed he must have forgotten something. I turned back and I felt something under my foot. A few coins and dollar bills were lying on the ground. I checked my pocket and realized that the money must have fallen out when I was paying earlier. I picked up the money and started walking towards the car. "You! Where are you going?" the lady yelled from behind. I turned and looked at her. She was squinting her eyes. I didn't understand her reaction. "Are you talking to me?" I asked, pointing my fingers toward myself. She walked up to me and extended her arms. "Give me my money back, the one you picked up from the ground." "That was my money that I accidentally dropped there," she said. It wasn't her money. It was the exact change that was missing from my pocket. I told her that it was my money, and she couldn't just lie about it. She frowned and said that since I was keeping her money, I should fill up her gas tank. "Don't you dare walk away from here without doing your job, or else I will get you fired," she shouted. Was she thinking I worked at the gas station? I was 174 centimeters, which is tall for my age. Most of the kids were around 155 centimeter to 161 centimeters at 13. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Before I could say anything, she tightly grabbed my wrist and told me to work fast. She was being very rude, and I didn't want to wait anymore. I knew how it was in the US. I had learned that if you were naive, you would be taken advantage of very easily. Sorry, but you can't make me work. It was my money that fell. Shame on you for even trying to take advantage of a child. And I don't work here, just for your information. I was only filling up my gas tank, I told her. "Oh, but you do," she argued. I knew she was going to be racist, and she instantly did something that assured me. "You're an immigrant. It's your job. You're just trying to steal the money that I gave you, and now you're trying to run away. I won't let you, and I'm going to kick you out of here." There was no point in arguing with Karen. I knew that fully well. I started walking towards the store to find my cousin when she grabbed my hand and started searching my pockets. "Give me back my money, you thief! If you're not going to do your job properly, at least return me my money." She was shouting at the top of her voice. I pushed her a little and took a step back. "Don't touch me without my consent," I told her. Just then, my cousin returned. He saw the woman harassing me and asked what had happened. I told him that I had dropped my money, and now she claimed that money was hers and forced me to work to fill up her tank. "So what? You work here. What else would you do? Look at your face. You're an immigrant. I will report you to your manager and get you immediately fired," she warned us. My cousin started laughing. He was 17. We were both kids, and that's why this woman was being so overbearing. Had there been some adult with us, she would have definitely not bossed us around like she was doing right then. "Why are you laughing?" she scolded my cousin. "I'm taking him to the manager right now, and I will get him fired. Then laugh all you want. I will also complain to the store manager that you were laughing at a customer. I will also get you fired. Soon you will both be thrown out of the country," she spoke in a shrill voice. She held my wrist tightly and dragged me to where some workers were sitting. Then she demanded to see the manager. A man in his early 50s came out and asked what was happening. She told him how I had been troubling her and how my notorious partner was laughing at her. I gave the man the look, the one which screamed how tired I was of her stupidity, and the man sighed and nodded. Even if I was a kid, anyone could relate to me if they had to face a Karen like her. All right, miss. These two boys, I've never seen them. They're not my workers. They don't even work in the store as far as I know. They are probably customers like they told you, he told the lady. Karen wasn't going to believe that, though. No, they are. Look at them properly. He was pumping gas a while ago, and he looks like another one of your workers. Are you sure you're not forgetting his face because they look alike? She said. We all were equally shocked. She was being loud and very racist. She had the most Karen face anyone could have. Her features were so common that anyone would mix her up with another Karen. However, if anyone said anything about it, I was sure she would say that we were being racist towards her. She demanded that I hand back the money. I told everyone how my money had fallen out of my pocket, and she accused me of taking her money as she believed that she dropped the same amount of money on the ground. Well, how much was it? My cousin asked. How much did you drop? The lady got silent all of a sudden. She kept nervously biting her lip and then said, It doesn't matter. I don't remember how much money I carry. Unlike you poor immigrants, money doesn't interest me. I chuckled. For a person who claims that money doesn't interest them, she was sure arguing a lot about it after trying to steal my money. You tell me, boy, how much did you drop? The man asked. I told him that it was $320 in total that was missing. I had my saved up money in my pocket too. I usually didn't carry it, but I had a few things from the mall, so I thought I should use it. The woman's mouth was wide open. She argued that there was no way any kid would have so much money in their pocket. It would only make sense if they were working. On the other hand, it was more believable that an adult carried that amount of money. The man called her out on her nonsense. He said that she was visibly shocked when he learned how much money I had. The lady quickly closed her mouth and said that it was only because she was shocked that she dropped so much money. We all could clearly see through her lies. My cousin's phone rang. It was his mother. I told him to take the call. He briefly explained what was happening, and I could imagine my aunt's face. She must be livid. My aunt had quite a temper. Everyone in our family was afraid of her. Karen kept fighting with us shamelessly and demanding us to work for her. I would have happily given the money if she wasn't so vile. It was more about the fact that she was trying to steal from me and forcefully make me work for her that irked the hell out of me. In just a few minutes, my aunt arrived. The gas station must have been like 2 to 3 miles away from our house. My car really drove her fanciest Porsche. It was hilarious because I knew she was going to absolutely destroy this woman. She parked the car and walked towards us, looking like a model straight out of a magazine. Then she looked at the woman and asked her if she was the one bullying her sons. The woman grew pale. My aunt was well known, especially in our city. Her face was in the local newspaper every now and then. It was obvious that the woman instantly recognized her. Well, it doesn't matter if he's your kid. He's a worker here. I saw him pumping gas, okay? He took my money, so he should fill up my tank and do his job. Just because you are rich doesn't mean you can be so entitled and privileged. Entitled and privileged? I asked her. I told her that I never once was rude to her. I even tried to be as patient as I could. On the other hand, she was being racist and mean. She was taking advantage of the kids, and she dare call us entitled and privileged? My aunt patted my head and told me to not lose my temper. Then she smiled and told her that I wasn't doing one single thing for her. The woman demanded to take me to the cops. Surely, I'm going to drag you to the lawyers, though, since you are forcefully trying to get my 13-year-old son to work for you. It's quite illegal, and I would absolutely want to hear your arguments and the judge's final say, my aunt said coolly. The woman was utterly horrified. She looked at me with her mouth open in shock. He's 13? She asked. Yes, my aunt replied. She took out her phone and showed Karen my school identity details. Also, they must have the CCTV footage. Let's see if my dear child was lying. I 100% believe him, so I guess the camera recordings will help us in that case, Aunt told Karen. As I said, I don't work here. Now do you believe me? I asked. I had never seen someone walking so fast. Karen quickly ran to her car and sat inside. Then she looked at us and flipped her middle finger. My aunt did the same thing and smiled widely. Karen was pissed, but she knew she was trapped in her own mess. She drove away in the blink of an eye. Hello, y'all. Long-time lurker and first-time poster. My boyfriend's power is out and I have no one else to vent to, so please listen to my tale of woe. I work at a car dealership as a receptionist, and one of my duties being greeting customers when they enter. I'm a professional artist on the side, and I've been busy with some commissions lately, so since it's not busy at the dealer, I started working on my iPad mini. It's old and I'm working on upgrading, but I currently can't afford to, so I live with it despite the battery life being really short, and I have to basically keep it plugged in at all times. Well, during my lunch, I was in the waiting area doing more work when a kid, a little girl no older than 4, came up and watched me work. This happens a lot when I draw in public, and usually the kids just ask a lot of questions. But this Ingie, nice girl, was very quiet and just had a look of amazement, so I just let her be. Her mother, the EM in this story, was nearby at a salesman's desk working on purchasing a new car, which is a long and no doubt boring process. The salesman working with her walked away, which at my dealership they do very often to retrieve paperwork, talk to the sales finance managers, etc. She looks over at me and her kid and asks her, "What are you looking at?" The kid points at my screen and says, "She's painting puppies." I was working on Twitch emotes of a streamer's dog. I sort of show my screen to EM, and she then asks her kid if she wants to draw, to which the girl excitedly said yes. I expected EM to pull out paper and pencils, or at least ask if I can get some for her too, but she just looked at me expectantly. When I realized she was waiting for me to hand her my iPad, I said, "Oh, she can't use mine, but I can get her a notepad and pens." But apparently that wasn't good enough. She sighs and says, "Just let her draw a little bit. I'm almost done here anyway," which I knew for a fact wasn't true. They were waiting on bank approval for a loan, which can take anywhere between 5 and 30 minutes. And even then, they'll be here longer for finance paperwork, detailing, etc. I started to explain that this is part of my work, and she scoffs, saying that I'm just doodling puppies, and it was selfish that I wouldn't let NG doodle on my device too. Poor Ingie was just looking at her hands, looking quite embarrassed. I then pretended my lunch was over, and I got up to spend the rest of my lunch at my desk. I couldn't see her behind a huge truck on display, but I can hear her grumbling to Ingie about who knows what. Whatever, pretend like I didn't hear so I don't mess up this sale for my coworker. Sometime later, nature called me, and I got up to use the restroom. I left my iPad on the seat, so it'll stay plugged in, and put a notepad over to try to cover it up somehow. My desk is a wide crescent shape with no drawers to keep my things safe, so this was the best I could do to somewhat hide it. I was in the restroom for no longer than 3 minutes, but when I got back, only my charger remained. My iPad and Apple Pencil were gone. I looked over to the lady who had her large purse suspiciously in her lap now instead of on the floor beside her chair like it was before. I was panicked because a lot of my work is on that iPad that I needed. I went to my sales manager, SM, and told him the situation. He told me that he would take care of it, but to be patient for now. I went back to my desk, full of anxiety and my stomach doing backflips. SM went to the desk where EM was to work out the deal. They're far enough that I can hear their voices, but not pinpoint exactly what they're saying. But I did hear her eventually yell, "How dare you? I would never steal. Do you want to lose this sale?" I immediately got up and went over behind the lady so SM could see me, but she couldn't. He tells her he understands, but my iPad went missing and he wants to make sure no one currently in the building has it. That's when I remembered the Find Me feature on all Apple products. My iPad was connected to the dealer's Wi-Fi, so I pulled out my phone and pressed play sound for my iPad. Her purse started dinging. She tried to play it off as if it's her ringtone, and SM stares at her as if daring her to answer it. Thing is, with the play sound feature, if I keep pressing it, it'll keep pinging. I made my presence known and told her to give my iPad back. That's when she stopped playing dumb and just said, "Just let NG have it. Her birthday's coming up and I can't afford a present for her since I'm getting this car." SM said that he was happy to cancel the deal so she can instead buy a birthday present for her child and to return my iPad or he'll call the police. She practically threw my iPad at me, where it hit me in the gut and took NG from the waiting area to leave. Poor thing looked at me with the most apologetic look on her face before leaving with her mother. SM might have helped me, but he's not exactly the nicest person. From now on, I'm not allowed to bring my iPad to the dealer. I have to either leave it in my car or leave it at home. Whatever. EM took my Apple Pencil with her since she left in a hurry. So I'm going to stop by the Apple store after work to get a new one. But until then, I'm stuck with my pens and notepad. I got off work until I learned Apple Pencils cost like $120. The first generation. The one EM took, I bought secondhand for $70. What the heck? Edit 2. I'm off work tomorrow, but my SM called the police and filed a report today using the info we have on file for EM. I really don't like getting involved with the law because it makes me crazy nervous, but I pulled through and answered the detective's questions. As far as I know, they have enough info and evidence to reach out to EM to get my pencil back. So many of you have been so sweet in offering to send me replacements, offering discounts, and even alternatives until I get my pen back. But I already bought a new one after work, as I mentioned. I do intend to make EM comp me for the money I spent on it. I'll keep you guys updated as the story develops. TLDR. EM steals my iPad while I was in the bathroom, and we caught her using the Find My feature.